Alright, welcome to round 5 of the FRL Division 1 Championship. Here we are in Miami, USA for what's going to be a short qualifying, followed up by a sprint race, and then the feature race. So this is going to be a pretty exciting event after a very thrilling race in France, I have to say. Unfortunately, no one else will be joining me in the commentary box today, but I have fully recovered from COVID, so my voice is going to be a lot less stuffy. So you'll at least have that. But while these drivers are making their way around, getting ready to set in some laps, let's take a little bit of a tour of this circuit. So the Miami International Autodrome boasts in total 19 corners, introduced just this year actually. It provided a pretty solid race, but even though I would say it could have been a little bit better, it was still an incredible race to see though. And honestly, the atmosphere that it delivered was really good in its own right. 3 DRS zones exist in total, one down the main straight, the other down the back straight, which Sugi just went through, and one more after turn 9 down that long curved area right after turn 9. So this track can be a little bit tricky to navigate, especially the first 3 corners where it's very easy to lose traction and grip and spin out. Sugi managed to navigate that just fine, but also tricky is the chicane at turns 14 and 15, where it's very easy to make a mistake. Also, this winding turn here at turn 7 can be a little bit tricky. It's pretty easy to go wide or also lose traction and spin out. It's important to have a lot of grip around this track, but one interesting thing that I've seen is a lot of drivers, their goal is to run the minimum amount of downforce they can. Some are even going to try as low as 0, 0, or 0.2 wings, which means absolute minimum downforce, which means they're going to be an absolute rocket on the straights, but they're going to be losing out in some of the corners. It's all about risk versus reward here, and well, if you can navigate your way through while handling that low downforce, you are going to be near unstoppable on this track. It's going to be interesting to see the set of variety that some of these drivers are going to run. Sugi right now is making his way through, but the first lap set is going to be Sebi with a 128.85. That's the time to be here in short qualifying. Taylor is unable to beat it, but Sugi seems to be on good form. Ghosty manages to beat that time. Can Sugi do the same? Going across, he does, and he sets the fastest time as well, going first overall. But then Wolfer demolishes that by a good 3/10, going first himself. At the moment, Wolfer is looking at yet another provisional pole. But Henny may be... Actually, he's not going to be challenging at all. He must have had a mistake of some kind, because he's already at a 132, barely started out on the final sector. Meanwhile, Jim is making his way through. This is going to be a slow lap for him as well. Zip trying to warm up his tires a little bit. He must have had a mistake as well. Well, these drivers must be having some struggles. Either that or they're just taking a little bit longer to warm up their tires. I would say that Sector 1... Oh. And Sebi has crashed. He's crashed around what looks to be the final corner. Checking with Ghostly, we'll be able to see exactly where and how he crashed. That's a strange place to lose it. The only thing I can speculate is that he was trying to weave his tires, warm up, lost grip, and just smashed into the wall. That would not be the first time that I've seen that happen around here. As I said before, it's hard to find a good amount of grip here. A lot of drivers find it very easy to lose traction. Sketchy Bull in the one remaining Haas on track is making his way through on a flying lap. His teammate is still in the top 5 with his lap. Dejo at the moment is just behind him in P5. But where can Sketchy Bull put his Haas? This looks to be a solid lap, but I think he can make it a little bit stronger still. He manages to go fast enough to go just behind his teammate, going 6th overall. At the moment, Alpine is looking to be in solid form. 3rd and 4th overall ahead of the 2 Hasses. Meanwhile, Slayer has it validated on his attempt. Pink has spun around turn 3. He's going to have to watch out for the Red Bull coming through. As I said before, it's very easy to lose traction around there. It can easily throw a driver off, quite literally, into the wall. On the bright side, I don't think Pink necessarily hit the wall too hard. His car appears to be fully intact, though it could be deceiving. Pink is making his way around, going past the Red Bull. And that's Ando. Oh, his lap is invalidated. He can't improve. Envy, though, looks to be improving here. How much has he improved through Sector 2? Oh, well, not at all, actually. He's down by over a second. I think he's going to make his way into the pits before going out on a new lap. I think Pink may be getting ready to put in a new lap. Looks like he is doing so. We'll ride on board with him for this one and see what kind of lap he can put together. So going to turn 1, you want to brake quite early, actually, to get a good exit out and into turns 2 and 3. But Pink has heavy traffic to deal with. That is going to hurt his lap. And he spins again. A good save by him, though. That was a very good reaction to the oversteer. Just, oh, but he spins yet again. Another solid save, though, I have to say. Well, at this point, his lap is completely, utterly ruined. He's going to need to go into the pits. Yeah, his tires are completely done. They are most certainly on fire right now due to all the spinning. It's heated up a lot. His teammate, meanwhile, is not too far behind on a new lap himself. Going through, he's already improved by over 6/10. At the moment, though, it still isn't enough to improve on his current spot, so he's going to need to find more time in the remaining sectors. And if I'm not mistaken, where it was very cloudy, where you're starting to get just a little bit of sunlight, and I think a lot of these drivers are going to be grateful for that. That means the track is going to start heating up, and they're going to be able to get more temperature into their tires. And honestly, tire temperatures can even be a bit of a struggle around here. I know starting on the hard tire is very difficult because it's practically impossible to warm them up. Taylor Voss is making his way through. This is going to be a very good improvement on his previous time. How much will it be, though? As he makes his way around the final corner, crossing the line, he manages to now go. Oh, actually, he improved by over a second, but he didn't improve on his position whatsoever. Still, a solid improvement. Meanwhile, Sugi's making his way around. He is absolutely rapid through Sector 1 at the moment. Has he found any improvement? Oh, I think that was a little bit of oversteer for a moment. Oh, it was alright, and he spun as well. Well, that's just completely ruined him, and he needs to make sure he sits still. He can't afford to get in the way of oncoming cars. And well, now he's able to reorient himself, but he's going to want to get moving quickly because that's a McLaren going through. That's Wolfer on his way on a new lap. And I bet that has hurt his time, not majorly, but by a small margin. Meanwhile, Ghostly, he had to get out of the way of that Williams. That was Yeti, actually. Ghostly was on a flying lap, and Yeti got right in the way. That is definitely going to be a penalty later on. Well, actually, if Yeti is on a flyer, technically he wouldn't be getting in the way, but he's already down by 10 seconds. Honestly, that would be kind of hard to debate. If he is on a flying lap, then it technically isn't impeding. I don't know, that's a question for the stewards later. But meanwhile, Max Verstappen, he's already improved by a very good margin, nearly 3/10 gain in Sector 1 alone, and he's flying through the chicane there. A little bit of oversteer, that's going to cost him just a little bit of time, but on the bright side, that was the slow section, so not too much, and he's now gained half a second. This is going to be a very good lap at the moment. He's looking to be ahead of his teammate, who's currently P2. So now Max Verstappen getting ready to cross the line. He manages to go second overall indeed. That is an absolutely brilliant lap. Still, Wolver's lap looks to be nigh unbeatable. Wolver, though, he's found a lot of improvement in Sector 1, gaining a total 1,000. That is such a slim margin, really, but I mean, I guess it's a good thing. Sector 1, I would say, is the most difficult part of the track, so the fact that he nailed it that well and barely improved by that much shows that that's probably the best it's going to get for him. But now it's a matter of nailing Sector 2, and that's going to get him a very good exit. He's now gained an extra 10th. He's looking to be setting a 127 lap. At the moment, this McLaren is looking rapid and completely unstoppable, which I would say is a good thing considering he's the only McLaren on the field at the moment. Now, rounding the final two corners, crossing the line. Can he get into the 127s? Yes, he can, and he gets an extra 10s to boot. That is a 127.9. What a lap for the McLaren driver and the defending champion. Meanwhile, Sketchy Bull is making his way through in the Haas. Let's be on a cooldown lap, though. I think it'll be good to get out of the way of that Red Bull. Oh, wait, actually, I think Endo may be on a cooldown lap himself. Yep, he's on a cooldown lap. Big Joe is making his way through into the pits, actually. Dio, I think he's finishing up and going into the pits himself. We don't have a ton of time remaining, though. A little over 4 minutes left to go before we have pretty much the entire field come out for one last run. I recommend you're going to be prepping, but as you can see, the field is very clear. So if you want to take advantage of that and set a lap with almost entirely clean air, then you're free to do so. And I think that's exactly what Yeti and Pink are planning to do at the moment. So now you have much more of the field coming out. Yeti's on a new lap right now. He's also been doing quite well overall in terms of qualifying right now. In the top 5, but could he be looking to improve going through Sector 1? Oh, that's a little bit of hesitation there. I think that's cost him a bit of time. Indeed, he's lost nearly a 10th in Sector 1. He can still gain plenty in Sector 2. Fink is making his way through right now on a flying lap and looks to be much more in control. He probably adjusted his suspension just a little bit, but still seems to be struggling with a bit of oversteer. You can see him having to correct his car for a moment to keep it from going out of control. But that Sector 1 was much more confident than it was before. That gain alone could potentially get him close to his teammate. Pink, I think, definitely has the pace to get into the top 5. It's just a matter of putting that lap together. Slayer's on a new lap himself. Pink making his way through. Oh, getting a little bit close. I think he may have touched the wall a little bit. Getting a little bit close on the track limits. He is pushing to the absolute maximum, and he's about to get a very generous tow from his teammate. And he's getting a very good tow here. And now he's released. That extra bit of speed is going to be very good for Pink, and it's going to allow him to move up even further. The question is, with all this improvement, where is he going to be? Crossing the line, he manages to go 5th overall. Well, like I said, he did have pace for the top 5, and he just showed it. Jim is finding a lot of improvement here. Nearly half a second gain. Could he potentially push Pink out of the top 5 and insert himself in there? Going across, it's going to be a very good lap, and he does improve, going 3rd overall, splitting the 2 Alpines. A very good lap from the Ferrari driver. Andy, meanwhile, is starting a new lap here. He's very confident through Sector 1, just taking up plenty of curb with little concern whatsoever. And that's a good thing for him. I think that's a good bit of time gained, perhaps. And yes, it is. He's gained nearly 3/10 from Sector 1 alone. That is going to be enough to put himself ahead of Yeti. But how much more time can he gain? Sketchy Bull's making his way through as well. Prid running through, Henny, Ando, J-Joe, pretty much the entire grid is running through. Zip is spun, however. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think he lost it through, yep, turns 1 through 3. Like I said before, that section can easily throw a driver out. Gio has invalidated his final attempt. His best start is going to be P16. Taylor Boss improves, manages to go P9 now. And Pink, I don't think he's going to be able to find any improvement. He stays P6. Jim, I think he's going to have to remain P4, but I think that was Sugi who just crossed the line a little bit ago. Managed to go 2nd overall. But looks like Envy's not going to join them at the front, going 3rd. There's a few more making their way through. Question is, can any of them find improvement? Zipman won't be able to. Could J-Joe do so? I don't know. I don't think Fred will be able to improve much either. No, his best start is going to be P13, but I don't think J-Joe is going to find any improvement either. I think that's pretty much it for qualifying. It appears to be decided. Wolver is going to take pole position, with Sugi joining him on the front row, followed up by Envy and Max, Jim and Ghostly, Pink and Yeti, Henny and Sevi. Despite crashing out, he still managed to finish in the top 10, followed up by Taylor Boss and Sketchy Bull, Prid and Ando, J-Joe, Zipman, and Geo Slayer rounding up the final row. I had to say, though, the top 7 look very, very exciting. I think it's going to be a very interesting battle for the sprint race win, and if it's going to get that heated in the sprint, I think the full race is going to look even better. But this qualifying decided, Wolver put in an incredible lap. If he maintains this level of form, he is going to completely wipe the floor with the rest of the field, which he did quite often in the first season of FRL. And it looks like he's really getting that form back, because he's had a bit of struggles at the start of this season, crashing out at Australia, for example, but I think he's really got his form back. But this track, as I said before, it can easily catch a driver out. So while qualifying is important, you need to make sure that you keep that consistency on every single lap of this race. Of course, in the sprint, though, there aren't going to be too many laps, only 10 in total, before we go into the feature race. Alright, we are now in for the formation lap. So while we're here, let's take a look at the tire strategy. I doubt we're going to see anything too crazy. Well, I stand corrected. Looks like we do have a couple interesting strategies. It's medium across the board with two exceptions. Frid taking a little bit of a risk with the soft tire, and Zip choosing to go on the hard tire. I think that's a bit of a strange choice to choose the hard tire. That's going to be struggling for pretty much the entire race. It's going to light up a little bit near the end, but honestly, I don't see the reason for using the hards unless you want to save a set of mediums for the main race. But Frid, though, he's taking a real risk on the soft tire. Those tires are going to be struggling heavily by the end, but if he takes advantage of this soft tire off the start, he could gain a lot of time, but he's going to have to really make this soft tire count, because if he can't gain any positions, he's going to lose many more. Oh, actually, and that is an Alpine spun out. I'm pretty sure that's Ghostly. Indeed it is. He's going to have to recover. On the bright side, we do have ghosting during the formation lap. That can't be altered whatsoever, by the way. So that definitely saved a lot of drivers. And that's Dub taking a bit of a spin himself. On the bright side, their tires are going to be nice and warm, but probably a bit too warm for their liking. And there is a predictive pit stop strategy powered by AWS. I gotta say, it's really interesting to see what strategy options you have. You have either a no-stopper or a no-stopper. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see how many stops these drivers make, which is going to be none unless there's a big crash, people break their front wings, and a safety car happens. Which, honestly, it could happen. This is a street circuit, technically. It's a pretty loose term for a street circuit. I mean, I would say the only real street circuits on the F1 calendar is Singapore, Miami, and Baku. But this counts as a street circuit, Canada, Australia, and Jeddah. And honestly, I don't think those four tracks count whatsoever as street circuits. The only thing they really have in common is very close walls, and that's about it. But anyways, we got everybody here on the grid. We just have Dub porpoising in place. But looks like we have everybody loaded in now. There we go. 5 red lights coming on here in Miami for the sprint race. And Sketchy Bull gets a drive-through penalty as it's lights out and away we go. Wolfer gets a pretty solid start, but it looks like the Aston Martin of Pink had a mega one. He's already challenging for P4. Wolfer has a struggle at turn 1. And, oh, that looks to be a collision near the front. Are we actually going 3 wide through here right now? I guess we are. And that is the Alpine of Ghostly crashed into the wall. Absolute chaos towards the back. And I think that's a virtual safety car triggered. Yes, it is. And a 5-second penalty to Prid for quarter cutting and gaining a place. Sketchy Bull also has a penalty. Well, a chaotic start and a horrific one for Wolfer. He started on pole and immediately has dropped down to 6th. Envy had a great start though, managing to jump up to 1st place. Sugi still right behind, with Max 3rd and Pink having a pretty solid start, now up in 4th. Fred actually had a great start himself. He started, I think, P13, and he's already up to P9. But that 5-second penalty is going to really hurt him by the end of this. However, depending on how it happened, it is potentially possible to have that penalty taken away. I wasn't able to see exactly what happened, but maybe the game cheated him and gave him a penalty. I know it does it sometimes. He may have had to go off track to avoid an incident or something, and the game just penalized him anyways. Things like that happen. But, virtual safety car has ended, and it looks like Sketchy Bull is making his way into the pits already. And it looks like Ghosty's doing the same. They both have wing damage, so they're going to have to go in and get that replaced. Meanwhile, up ahead, Tatsugi crashed! Pink is gone with him! Oh, that is horrific for the both of them. They were doing so well off the start, and yet he now has a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Pink. I don't know what happened there, but now Envy has a very solid lead after what happened. And Dub, I think he retired in the pits. Meanwhile, Taylor Boss is ahead of J-Joe, getting a little bit close there, nearly colliding with the Ferrari. Taylor does manage to leave enough space, though. Now going into this corner, he's a little too far ahead, but meanwhile, Yeti and Sevi are going wheel to wheel. Yeti barely giving the Haas enough room there. Very hard racing for the both of them, but Sevi now has to back off. You can't go side by side through here. Despite drivers having attempted that, it just doesn't work. And with that, Sevi stays ahead. Oh, and that's Taylor Boss, and he spun. He's trying to recover, but now he's got an Alfa Romeo and an AlphaTauri ahead of him. Meanwhile, Wolfer gets ahead of Jim and Tonic to take third. Fred is doing very well. He's really made the soft tire count, and he's up to P6 now. Still, he has a 5-second penalty, and that is going to hurt him. He needs to build up a very good gap, but he wants to maintain a points finish. And in order to get a points finish in a sprint race, you need to get in the top 8. And the point system is pretty simple in the sprint. If you win, you get 8 points. Second place gets 7. Then third place gets 6. All the way down to 8th, who gets 1 point. Meanwhile, we have a battle near the back as Ando loses 2 positions. And Ando spins into the wall, breaking his front wing. A lot of drivers struggling for grip right now. Meanwhile, we have a battle for the lead here. Envy having to defend from Max. Max looking around the outside at the hairpin. Can't make a way through just yet. But DRS is now enabled, and Max is going to get a very good run down this straight. He should be able to clear the Red Bull with very little effort. Oh, you can see already, even before DRS is activated, he's getting a very good run. And with DRS activated now, he's got that rear wing wide open. Can he clear the Red Bull? Yes, he does. He's going to be able to take the lead, but Envy's still looking to keep himself alongside. But he can't stay ahead. He's going to have to settle for second for now. Meanwhile, Jim is doing his best to keep up with Wolfer, or have to find a way back onto the podium. Meanwhile, Henny's running in 5th, but he's got an Alfa Romeo slowly but surely gaining on him. Meanwhile, it looks like Max is really starting to make some ground on Envy. Max looks to be very rapid right now, and at this rate, could be pulling a second gap and getting Envy out of DRS range. Speaking of gap, Wolfer is actually starting to close it to Envy. He was over 3 seconds down, now he's under 3 seconds. Well, I take that back. He's over 3 seconds down now. But we have a pretty close battle here now. Henny is right on the heels of Jim and Wolfer and could be challenging for a podium. Prid is right behind with Yeti and Sebi all chasing. And Prid is looking really rapid right now, and he's burning a lot of ERS, trying to perhaps gain on the AlphaTauri, but he just can't do it at the moment because of this DRS train that's going on right now. Jim is doing his best to find a way past Wolfer, but he simply can't do it. He doesn't have the pace at the moment. Though he might have a chance to dive here, it would be a very dangerous dive, and I think he's fully aware of that, which is why he doesn't make that attempt. He's just stuck in a bad spot, but now Wolfer is really starting to pull away here. Jim, I think, is just doing everything he can to stay within range. But now he's actually gaining on him here. This is still keeping quite close. Meanwhile, Envy is keeping up with Max Verstappen, but you can see Max is a rocket on the straight. but that toe is allowing Envy to keep up. Meanwhile, Jim, he's closer to Wolfer than he has been yet. He may have a good opportunity going down the back straight. Alright, here we go now. Jim actually lost a bit of time there. But meanwhile, Henny has kept up just fine and is gaining a lot of time here. Still, that DRS is holding him back, I guess you could say, or rather, Jim's DRS is holding him back. He just can't get ahead, but I do think he has a little bit more pace than Jim right now. Oh, indeed, and Henny, he's going to have the best opportunity he's had yet. Still, not close enough to potentially make a move. Meanwhile, near the back, Zip makes a move on Geo to take a hold of 11th place. Meanwhile, Max has actually managed to pull that second gap he needed, and he no longer has DRS, and that means Max is in a much better position than he was before. Same time, Jim is rapidly gaining enough, I think, to finally make a move on the McLaren. Still not enough. He gains a lot on the straights, but if it was just a little bit longer, he'll be able to make that move that he's been trying to for a while now. Oh, but Wolfer made a little bit of a mistake there. That's quite a bit of oversteer. That may leave him vulnerable. You can see, though, Wolfer is absolutely rapid on the straight. And that's hurting Jim. He still can't get close enough to make a move. Meanwhile, though, Henny has burned up all his ERS, and that's going to leave him vulnerable now to Prid, looking to make a move on the outside at turn 1. But Henny is just a little bit too far ahead for Prid to make his way through. Still, Henny with no ERS left is in a very bad spot. Prid is still on soft tires that seem to be running okay, but it's about now where they're going to start to struggle. Kill Clock in Sector 1, that's a half-set spawn. I think that's Sketchy Bull around turns 1 and 3, and he just manages to reorientate himself in time for Red Bull to come up and to make his way through. Meanwhile, Yeti has overtaken Prid and taken 6th place. At the moment, I think Prid still has just enough of a gap to get a hold of a points finish here in this sprint. As long as he maintains the gap that he has, I think he's still got it. Meanwhile, this DRS train has continued for a while now. None of these drivers able to make a move. Oh, and yep, you can see there, Prid getting a good bit of oversteer there. His tires must be begging for mercy about now. For really, until the end, it's going to be a matter of keeping up and trying to hold on to DRS for Prid. So at the very least, he will have gained a few positions in the sprint. I think choosing the soft tire has paid off for him. Meanwhile, Jim is taking some pretty aggressive lines on the corners, doing his best to try and gain ground on the McLaren. Simply can't do it at the moment, though. Meanwhile, Evie has actually managed to put himself back into DRS range. Could we have yet another battle for the lead here? Now Jim is on the hunt after Wolfer once again. Wolfer has burned out all his ERS though, and that's a big problem because Jim still has plenty to burn. This is going to be close towards the end. I think Jim will have an opportunity on the final lap, as long as he maintains his ERS like this. Kill flag in Sector 2. That is the Aston Martin of Hiller Boss that is spun. Yeah, Prit is really struggling at the moment. Oh wait, and that, I think someone just got damaged there. I think Yeti may have clipped the wall a little bit. You can see a little part of a car come off. Someone hit the wall there, and they got a little bit of chip damage from it. Oh, and that is Jim who was spun! Oh, that's really bad, and he gets right in the way of Prit as well. But Jim was ghosted there? That's strange. Oh, he's lagging as well. But Jim is spun. He's now all the way down in 10th. And that's pretty much safely secured a podium for Wolfer. Meanwhile, Henny could still be under threat for 4th place, yet he is right behind. But yet he still has that penalty. But correct, it's, it's actually 5 seconds. So him and Prid are about even. Prid, unfortunately for him, I think will potentially be out of the points. Actually, as long as he keeps this up for a little bit longer, he can very well get 1 point. But Sebi is rapidly gaining here, and will have an opportunity to make a move very soon. Meanwhile, Yeti's going to have a very good opportunity here to perhaps make a move on Henny. He's got DRS, and that's giving him plenty of speed. Both are completely out of ERS, so it's all a matter of DRS. Yeti making a questionable move there. I think he was trying to make a move on the inside, but there clearly wasn't enough room. I don't know what Yeti was thinking there. It would have been easier if he just made a move on the outside. But he's going to have another... Oh, that oversteer may have just cost him. But Henny gets a bit of oversteer as well. This is going to be a battle all the way down to the end of this straight. So here we go now. Yeti is putting in everything he has left. It's going to be enough to get alongside. Will it be enough to get ahead around the final corner? No, it won't. Henny slams the door on him, and Henny will be able to hold on to 4th. Meanwhile, winning the sprint is going to be Max Verstappen, Envy 2nd, Wolfer 3rd. Yeti gets another penalty for an unserved penalty. But after all is said and done, I think Bray will still get points. Yes, he will. He made it Gable on the soft tire, but he really made it pay off. So Henny will take 4th, Rich 7th, 5th, J-Joe 6th, Yeti 7th, and Fred 8th, rounding out the points finishers in the sprint. I had to say that was an impressive race from Max Verstappen. That was very efficient, no mistakes, no errors. He just maximized his pace and had very good racecraft throughout. Just put in a brilliant result. And driver of the day is going to go to Slayer. And that was a very exciting sprint. I'm very much looking forward to the feature race. We'll be seeing you all for that.